Broncos country, let's ride. Welcome back to another episode of From the Stands. I am joined by, you guys. We are going to go ahead and hop right into it. We will start with, let's start with the most enticing game, I think, of the entire weekend. We got the Penn State Nittany Lions against the Ohio State Buckeyes, and it is going to be a treat for all of our college football fans.
I think it's funny how, like, the Big Ten, the Big 12, sometimes the Pac-12, their marquee matchups, they're played at noon for the most part.
Yeah.
And Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Ohio State, some of the best games of the year for these guys are at noon. And I just think it's
at 11 for some of them, too, because of time zones.
I think it's funny how you never see the SEC do that. Georgia will never be playing, or LSU
We'll play our 3:30 game. We love our 3:30 games.
LSU and Alabama will never play at noon.
Florida has been 3:30 since I have been alive.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one. I hope both teams are geared up for it because I think it's going to be a good game.
Where's it being played?
The Shoe. No, it's at Ohio State.
Is it?
Yeah,
I thought it was in Penn State this year.
I'm taking Ohio State. It worked for me earlier in the season, and I hope it works for me again this week. Marvin Harrison and Ibuka, I think, are going to play really well. Both less experienced in terms of, like, big environment quarterbacks, but I think Kyle McCord playing at home is going to play better than Drew Aller playing in his first.
He did have the Notre Dame game this year.
Kyle McCord did have the Notre Dame game. Drew Aller has not had a game like that yet. First big test on the road. I think Ohio State takes it.
You go first.
Oh,
I think the perfect game guy should go next. Perfect week.
Yeah. You had the best week. So okay, we'll do it. We'll do it that way this week. Since you went 5, you go and then I go and Joe's last.
Damn. I like not going. Going last is fun.
I know.
It's easier for sure.
I think both teams are very talented, but my gut says Penn State. My gut leads me to believe that Drew Aller and this Penn State team have looked almost flawless this entire year. They haven't had any blemishes, any hiccups, nothing like that. I think Penn State's super talented. They have I forget the running back's name, but they have a really talented running back once again, just like every year.
Singleton.
Drew Aller has looked good. He's a sophomore now?
Mm-hmm.
Looked good for his sophomore year. The defense looks solid. I think they're allowing the second least points per game of any team in college football this year. So I'll take Penn State and the Nittany Lions to take down the Buckeyes.
All right, so me and Jack have a lot of the same thoughts on this game, except for one, and I literally just changed my mind. I think this will be the same story that we see out of Penn State every single year. They haven't played anybody yet this season. They have not won any big games. Their quarterback has not had to prove himself. They're going to come in to Ohio State, a road game against one of the most complete teams, I would say, in college football. They've got a great defense. They've got a great running back. They've got 2 of the best wide receivers in college football. They've got a good head coach, as much as I don't like Ryan Day. He's a good head coach. And I think Kyle McCord has a little bit better of a supporting cast, and he has a proven win behind him already this season in a very tough game against a very tough defense in South Bend. So he knows what it takes to win these big games. I don't think the lights get too bright for him. I think, unfortunately, for Penn State, this will be where the rubber meets the road, and it's just not going to work in their favor like most seasons. I would love to see Penn State finally get over the hurdle this year and do something with a talented team. I just unfortunately don't think it will be against Ohio State at Ohio State. So give me the Buckeyes.
This is a very tough one for a non-college football fan here. And having family from Pittsburgh, they're all big Penn State fans, and they're always disappointed every year. But they do have one of the best defenses, I think, in the country. Very representative of my Pittsburgh Steelers. And one of the Buckeyes have been injured. Their backfield's been pretty injured, especially last week. They might get those guys back, but I don't know if they're going to be 100%. And they're one of their wide receivers out. I know they got Marvin Harrison. They got all the good guys. But I think this is the year Franklin finally delivers for Penn State. And I'm taking Penn State to beat Ohio State.
Let's go Lions.
Let's go Buckeyes. Ugh, I didn't like how that sounded.
No.
No.
That's why I didn't say it.
Yeah. Ugh.
So what's the next game? Next game we're doing.
Let's go the next marquee matchup.
What's that?
Let's go Miami Dolphins at the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday night.
Oh, shit.
Two of the best teams in the NFL. And, I mean, this is tough. I like what I've seen from the Dolphins. I'm a Tyreek fan because he's on my fantasy team. It's in Philly. So
Tough place to play.
Tough place to play.
Especially during Red October.
It ain't going to be red in, I don't know what their stadium's called. But
Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial. I'm going to take the Dolphins to win this one on the road. I just think that they're a little too much for the Eagles. And I like the Eagles, but I think they've gotten worse since last year. And I think the Dolphins have gotten better, and I think they're going to go on they're going to continue the role that they've been on, and they're going to get a win on the road.
I don't want to go next, not because I want to get a leg up on anyone, but just because I can't decide. I'm having such a hard time because I think the Dolphins' offense is obviously potent, but their defense has shown that they're not spectacular. And if they get off to another slow start like they did last week against the Panthers, they're going to lose this game to the Eagles. And on the contrary, the Eagles' offense has looked kind of up and down. Didn't look good last week, but it looked good the previous weeks. But their defense has looked solid the last 2 weeks at least.
Top 10 defense, I think.
Yeah.
Got to take one of them.
I mean, you can pick a tie.
My gut says Eagles, so I'm gonna go against my Miami allegiance for the season and go Philadelphia at home, GBOT game in Lincoln Financial. Give me the home team.
I love that pick because it makes me feel a little bit better about taking my pick, which is also the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they have the better defense for sure. I think Philly is one of the hardest places to play in the NFL. I also think that the Dolphins have looked very volatile on on offense. They're either going to put up some insane numbers or they're really going to struggle to move the ball like they did against Carolina. I know Carolina has a good defense. That's been their only calling card the entire season so far. I think the Eagles' defense is on par, maybe a little bit better with some more experience. And a better head coach, obviously, a better system. I think the Eagles are going to come into this game fired up after a tough road loss to the Jets. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have his GBOT game. He's going to get back on track. I like DeAndre Swift. I like that offensive line. I like the playmakers that they have on the outside and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And I think it's a tight one. I think it's a close one. I think it might be our first true shootout of the season. I know we've been waiting on one. I could see this a 32-28, 35-32 type of game, which I would love to see just as a football fan. We haven't really gotten one of those yet this season. I think it'll be the first one, but I think Philly gets back on track at home. Give me the Eagles.
All right. I like the Dolphins, but I think don't get too excited. The Dolphins are a very fast team, so you're gonna score quick because they're just gonna dink and dunk to Tyreek and Waddle, and they're just gonna run it.
Is Tyreek for sure gonna play?
Yeah.
I don't know,
He came back in the game last week against Carolina, so he'll play.
but I think what's gonna end up happening. I mean, you saw the only game where they really got into his face was against Buffalo,
And he struggled.
He struggled.
Is Carter gonna play? Jalen Carter, because he didn't play this past week.
I don't know, but nonetheless, I think the Eagles have depth.
A pass rush.
Yeah. I think they're going to get after him more so than Buffalo even did. I think Eagles' offense is a lot slower and more meticulous than the Dolphins are, so I could see them controlling like 40 plus minutes time of possession and just controlling the entire narrative of the game. I could see DeAndre Swift rushing for over 100 yards, maybe 150 yards. And I'm taking the Eagles. Win at home.
I'm on a Dolphins
All
island.
right.
The leader on
Interesting.
an island's a little sketchy.
It is a little odd, ain't it? All right. Last two. And these are going to be interesting picks because Jack is not a huge fan.
It's not that I'm a big fan. I just don't know. I like watching it when it's on, but like I just don't know.
And
I'm
then,
not knowledgeable.
Joe is getting into it. So it's a little bit newer, especially
Hey, I
for
think I had the best record in UFC last time we picked it.
you did just pick the Russians.
Exactly.
So we're going to get into UFC this week. I think this is not just going to be the fight of the year. I think this is the card of the year up to this point. Two guys, shout out Kamaru, shout out Volk for taking huge, massive fights on such short notice.
I believe Volk will be on 11 days' notice. Of the
11 days notice for a title fight. And let me tell you, nothing made me happier than to see Charles drop out of that fight because I thought Volk deserved the rematch the entire time. With that being said, we will start with the co-main event in Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. And Lance takes it.
So I will be honest, I've never seen an Usman fight, and I think I've only seen one Chimaev fight, I believe. I know Usman is one of the best middleweights,
Welterweights.
welterweights. They're fighting the fight in middleweight. He's one of the best welterweights of all time. But Chimaev is an up-and-coming star, and he is undefeated. He's 12-0 to this point, and I believe he is significantly younger than Usman. I'm going to take Chimaev to extend his undefeated streak.
Would you like me to go first, Jack?
Is Usman the one that's usually heavier? That's coming
No.
No, he's usually lighter.
He's usually 170.
and how much
Chimaev is usually 185.
I'll take the heavier one, Chimaev.
All right. So I have never been much of a Kamaru fan. That does not mean that Kamaru is not good. He's taken back-to-back title losses now. One to defend his belt and then one to regain it against Leon Edwards. The first one was, I liken it to the Chael Sonnen Anderson Silva. I believe it was second fight where Chael whooped the shit out of Anderson Silva for
4.5 rounds.
22.5 minutes. And then Anderson, just being the generational talent that he is or was, called him at the very end. That's how I liken the first Usman to Edwards fight is. Kamaru beat the shit out of him for 4 rounds. 3 or 4 rounds. Edwards just found his spot and was able to slip that head kick in there, knock that motherfucker out cold. Second fight was a little bit more technical. Leon gets the win. Again, I think Kamaru is coming into this with a chip on his shoulder. I don't think he would have taken this fight if he was not 110% certain that he was prepared and that he could win. Obviously, you're a little bit newer to this in terms of like the logistics, Jack. Being the lighter guy, like normally fighting in a lighter weight class is not necessarily always a disadvantage. Because Kamaru doesn't walk around at 170. When Kamaru's not like cutting weight to make 170, he's walking around somewhere between 190 and 200. So a natural, comfortable weight for him would be about 185. When you can shed 15, 20 pounds in the span of 7 to 14 days, and you can whoop the shit out of everyone at 170, no reason not to. But I don't think the weight is a disadvantage. I think it might actually come as an advantage for Kamaru. He's going to be fighting a little bit looser, won't have to do as serious of a weight cut, which means he's going to have more energy, and it's not going to be as drastic. It's not going to be as harmful on his nervous system and things of that nature. I am going to take Kamaru to get back on track because I think if he lost this one, he's done. But he's got skills. The dude can grapple. I like Kamaru against Khamzat. That's his nickname, by the way. Like,
yeah.
That's what people call him.
Well, I think the last person I watched go up a weight class as a non-UFC watcher was John Jones. I'm pretty sure against Serial.
Yep.
And it did not. I think it benefited him, like Zach was saying. I don't think it hurt him at all because that was a not fair fight for Serial. I'm gonna take Kamaru Usman. I think he's gonna be. I mean, he's already the favorite. I think he's minus 295. So I'm just gonna rock with that. I don't know.
Minus 295.
Yeah. You can't change it now.
Can't
You
change it
now. So I'm taking him to beat the shit out of Cumshot.
All right. I like it. All right. And then what I believe will be the fight of the year this year. The most excited I have been for a fight. I might be more excited for this fight than I was Suga and Aljo. More excited for this fight than John Jones returning to the ring.
What about Sean Strickland?
Way more excited than that fight. I think this is going to be a dog fight. I think they are going to beat the dog shit out of each other, and I think it is going to be one of the best fights we have seen, not just this year, but in recent memory. I'm so hyped for this fight. We have got Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev, and Lance has the first pick.
And I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think Volk got robbed the first time, and he's winning it this time. I'm taking Volkanovski.
What's the other guy's name?
Makhachev.
Islam Makhachev.
Where's he from?
Dagestan.
He's from Russia?
From the same town that Habib is from.
Give me Makhachev. I like Russians. Shout out Danny.
I'm with Lance. Volk might be one of my favorite fighters of all time. The dude is an absolute menace to society. He has beat some of the best that featherweight has to offer all time. The dude ran through that division. He's got some of the best cardio I've ever seen. Bro walked out of the first Islam fight basically unscathed. Didn't even look like he got touched. He's taken this fight on 11 days' notice for a title shot. And I really just want to see a double champ because who the fuck is that guy? I'm ready to see another one. I think Volk can do it. I think he is a top 5 UFC fighter of all time. If he wins this and becomes only the 5th double champ in UFC history, give me Alexander the Great Volkanovski.
Minus means you're the favorite, right? Or is it
Yeah.
Yeah, minus.
Man, what the hell?
So-
The thing I just saw said Usman was 295.
What is he right now?
Plus 230.
That's still a
That means
plus
he's an
230 or
underdog.
minus 230?
Plus 230.
Oh, so he's a 230.
Underdog.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't care. I don't pick on when I'm watching fights. I don't pick based on the spreads anyway. So
All right. Well, I was like one of the only people. I was the only current member of the pod that got it right the first time with Islam dominating because he's Russian. But this time, I think Volkanovski is very pissed off that he didn't get robbed. He didn't play by the rules like Islam did. And I think the fight's probably going to end in a knockout. I don't think it's going to go all the way, and I don't think Islam is going to be able to strike his way to a knockout against Volkanovski, and I don't think Volkanovski is going to let Islam get him on the ground again because of round 4 of the last fight. So I'm taking Volkanovski, probably round 3 knockout.
Awesome.
I like that. I like
Flipping
that.
coins over here on an island.
I like that. All right.
Well, it's an emotional pick for us.
For us.
Okay.
He's one of my favorite fighters. I think the rob part is tough because of the way UFC scores events, but like just based on the eye test, you could have never told me that Alexander lost the first fight. Like if you saw what Islam looked like after the fight and Volk after the fight, you'd be like, "Damn, that dude got the shit beat out of him."
Yeah, I
Guess I
think
got robbed.
Islam landed 96 punches to Volk's 169 or something like that in the first
Something
fight.
like that. It was absolutely insane. So I'm excited for this fight. I think it's going to be fantastic. And as always, we appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Drop a comment below.
Comment.
We'll see you next week.
Comment Jake
Go
Daniels
Dogs.
for Heisman.
Comment, go LeBron.
Peace.